Now that you have learned about the different sources of fresh water, let's return to streams and rivers so that you can learn how they develop over time. To learn about the stages of river development, climb aboard the riverboat by clicking on it. Rivers change the way they flow and pass through different stages as they age. Some rivers develop through the stages quickly, while others take a very long time to change. To learn about 4 different stages of stream development, youthful, mature, old, and rejuvenated rivers, click on the different sections along the river system as they are highlighted. Youthful rivers are commonly found in the mountains and therefore tend to have steep gradients. They are usually V-shaped and are generally deeper than they are wide. Sudden changes in gradient often cause rapids and waterfalls to form over the large boulders and rocks that are present in the stream. The fast-moving, turbulent water in youthful streams causes heavy erosion along the channel, which generally tends to make the channel narrow and straight as it flows downstream. Mature rivers usually have a lower gradient than youthful rivers and tend to be found in lower elevations, like on gently sloping land. Most of the large rocks and boulders that were present in the youthful river have been eroded away by abrasion. Mature streams tend to erode soil and rock from the sides of the channel more than from the bottom, which makes the channel wider than it is deep. Meanders, which are large curves in the river, are common in the mature stage. Meanders form because different parts of the river move at different speeds. In general, water along the inside of a bend tends to move slower than the water along the outside of a bend. In addition, shallow water tends to move slower than deep water because the water drags along the bottom and sides of the channel, which slows it down. If there is deep water along the banks of a river, the water will cut away the bank of the river, causing a bend or meander to form. Meanders can also form as water flows past different types of rock. Some types of rock are eroded more easily than others. If the water hits rock that is not easily eroded, it will change its path to move around it, forming a bend in the river. Old rivers are very similar to mature rivers, which can make the 2 stages sometimes difficult to tell apart. However, old rivers tend to have more meanders than mature rivers. Old rivers also tend to have fewer tributaries than a mature river, because most of the tributaries have joined together farther upstream. Oxbow lakes typically form along the banks of old rivers. Old rivers tend to flow through very wide, flat floodplains with a very low gradient. Generally, old rivers tend to move more slowly than rivers in earlier stages of development. This causes more sediment deposition along the insides of the channel than erosion. Old rivers also tend to deposit sediment onto the floodplains during repeated flooding. Rejuvenated rivers form when the surface of the land rises above the level of the river, which can happen in a process called uplifting. Uplifting occurs when the Earth's tectonic plates collide and force one or both sides of the land upward. When the surface of the land is pushed upward, erosion causes the level of the stream bed to cut below the surface of the land in a process called downcutting. The river drops in elevation faster as it cuts through the uplifted land than it did on the old floodplain, so the river's gradient increases. As you know, this causes the water to move faster and increases erosion. Land formations, known as terraces, form in response to the increased erosion. Terraces are areas of the old floodplain that are much higher than the level of the river. Click on any of the stages of stream development to review, or to learn about deposition, click Continue.